At number 10 is USA vs. China. The Simpsons have an uncanny knack for predicting future events, and when it comes to the US-China relationship, they've left us with some spine-tingling scenarios. One that's been haunting our thoughts is the portrayal of a nuclear war between these two superpowers. While we fervently hope this remains a work of fiction, it's unsettlingly plausible. The tensions between the US and China have been simmering for years, with economic conflicts and trade disputes playing out in the world stage. Since 2018, President Donald Trump initiated a trade war, slapping tariffs and trade barriers on China in a bid to rectify perceived unfair practices. Fast forward to early 2023, and experts like George Hein are sounding alarm bells, suggesting that we're on the brink of a new Cold War, one that bears eerie similarities to the US-Soviet standoff, complete with ideological and military undertones. As we head into 2024, the world watches nervously, hoping that the dark predictions of The Simpsons remain firmly in the realm of fiction. If you're enjoying this video so far, you can support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to Most Amazing, and ringing that notification bell. I would really appreciate it. At number 9 is Donald Trump's 2024 campaign. It's almost uncanny how The Simpsons, with its satirical wit, hinted at Trump's political ascendance years before it happened. Now, as we stand on the precipice of 2024, the man himself has declared his intention to run for president yet again. But beyond the deja vu, what's truly alarming is the potential economic impact. The Simpsons have previously teased financial crises. With Donald Trump in the driver's seat, there's a looming concern about the stability of the US dollar. We all hope that this is one prediction that doesn't manifest into a nightmare scenario for the American economy. At number 8, the red herring. Now, even though this prediction already came to fruition, I still wanted to mention it here because it's honestly scary how spot on this was. For those of you who don't know, a red herring is a classic literary device, a misleading clue or distraction designed to divert one's attention from the real issue. In this case, we have the arrest of a former US president, an event of monumental significance, juxtaposed with the release of a Barbie movie. It's a perfect example of how the media can sometimes prioritize sensationalism over substance. Now, back to The Simpsons. The show's ability to foresee such improbable coincidences is downright eerie. The Barbie movie and a president's arrest may seem worlds apart, but somehow they have converged in both fiction and reality. This prediction serves as a stark reminder of the media's tendency to fixate on trivial matters while crucial events go overlooked. It's a commentary on our collective fascination with the shallow and sensational, a message that The Simpsons delivered nearly 3 decades ago, and one that still resonates today. The question remains, what other bizarre predictions might lie ahead in the show's future? At number 7, economic collapse and inflation. Dang, seems like this prediction is already coming into fruition too. In Bart to the Future, The Simpsons took us on a wild ride into the dystopian economic future. And while this might sound like the stuff of satire, there are eerie parallels to our real world. Economic collapse and inflation are no laughing matter. The episode's notion of solving budget deficiency by printing more money might seem absurd, but it hits really close to home. In recent years, the US has been churning out money like never before. The stimulus packages and mounting national debt have raised concerns about inflation and the USD's value. The show's exaggerated portrayal serves as a stark reminder that we must tread carefully in the world of fiscal policy. Our economic future is uncertain, and The Simpsons' cautionary tale urges us to take responsibility for our financial decisions. At number 6 is mind-controlled music. Back in my day, music didn't try to control your mind. Recall the unsettling episode New Kids on the Block from 2001, where Bart, Milhouse, Nelson, and Ralph unwittingly become pawns in the US Navy PsyOps project. Their infectious hint, drop the bomb, masks the subliminal message, Ivan et Nioj, cleverly hinting at the sinister intentions, which, spelled backwards, spells join the Navy. While seemingly humorous, this episode now makes us ponder the direction of the music industry. As modern songs delve into uncharted territories with peculiar references and excessive auto-tuning, we question whether they might eventually influence our subconscious actions. Could mainstream music evolve into a tool for social control, much like the Navy's fictional ploy? The thought sends shivers down our spines as we contemplate the unsettling possibilities. At number 5, mass automation. Just like that episode from 2012 where Mr. Burns ushered in an army of robots, today the automation world is crashing into our job market. Just think about it. Robots aren't calling in sick, taking vacation, or demanding higher wages, or wages at all for that matter. Fast food joints once bustling with human activity could soon become ghost towns of automation. But it's not just the burger flippers. The auto industry, manufacturing, and even data entry jobs are all on the chopping block. Could you imagine a future where your beloved donut shop is run by machines, devoid of the warmth of human interaction? The Simpsons painted this dystopian future, and we should take it as a warning. The rise of machines may be closer than we think, and the implications are truly terrifying. At number 4, a black hole created on Earth. One unsettling prediction centers around a black hole materializing on Earth, much like the infamous Treehouse of Horror 23 episode. Imagine a minuscule singularity forming, gradually sucking in everything in its voracious path. In reality, black holes are cosmic beasts, relentlessly devouring matter with no regard for boundaries. If one were to emerge on Earth, surrounded by ample matter, we'd be in perilous trouble. The prospect of experiencing spaghettification, a term that describes being stretched into infinitesimal thinness as you approach the black hole's event horizon, is nothing short of spine-chilling. Let's hope that this prediction remains confined to Springfield. At number 3, large-scale environmental disaster. The infamous Simpsons movie plot where Springfield gets quarantined under a giant dome due to environmental catastrophe. I mean, sure, the dome part might be a little bit of a stretch, but the underlying message about environmental negligence hints close to home. Our world is witnessing an alarming rise in reckless corporate practices, leading to environmental degradation and climate change. The warning signs are glaring. Global warming is real and caused by human actions. The Simpsons may just be hinting at the impending environmental disaster of unprecedented proportions. And as we delve deeper into 2024, let's hope that we heed such warnings and take action to prevent such dire predictions from becoming a reality. I mean, except for paper straws. Those are actually really bad. At number 2, virtual reality. In the realm of eerie predictions, the Simpsons have an uncanny knack for tapping into the pulse of technological developments. Take, for instance, their episode Friends and Family from 2016, where they dabbled in the world of virtual reality. It's crucial to note that they didn't prophesy the inception of VR. It was well underway by then. But what it did foresee are the perils of VR misuse. Picture this. Springfield plunges headfirst into a VR frenzy, and the consequences are dire. Pedestrians, oblivious to the real world, get flattened by cars because they're engrossed by their virtual realms. As the addiction grows, folks become estranged from reality itself. The line between the virtual and the tangible blurs. Could this dystopian future become a reality in 2024? With VR advancing at breakneck speed, it's a haunting notion. Will we find ourselves so entangled in alternate worlds that we forget to live in the one we've got? The answer, my friends, remains hidden in the unfathomable depths of time. And at number 1, robot takeover. In the ever-bizarre world of The Simpsons, another eerie prediction emerges, one that taps into our deepest fears about technology. In the 1994 episode Itchy and Scratchy Land, the iconic family ventures into a Disney-inspired theme park overrun by itchy and scratchy robots. Initially benign, these mechanical denizens go haywire, leaving a trail of destruction. This dystopian vision hints at the ominous concept of the technological singularity, where artificial intelligence surpasses human intellect. As we hurtle towards an era of unprecedented AI growth, the question looms. Could machines view us as a threat and seek our extinction? I mean, it might sound like sci-fi, but the relentless progress of AI makes it a genuine concern. The prospect of humanity's demise at the hands of our own creation is a chilling scenario we hope remains confined to Springfield's fictional universe.
Coming in at number 10 is mind control through music. We all remember the Shane Dawson era of conspiracy theories where he said there were secret messages in songs, right? Well, it seems like that conspiracy might become real within the next year. In an episode called New Kids on the Bleach, which aired in 2021, the plot involved Bart, Milhouse, Nelson, and Ralph becoming members of an all-new boy band called the Party Posse. However, the band is actually a PsyOps project by the US Navy to bombard people with subliminal messages. Their hit song Dropped a Bomb features the chorus of Yavin et Noji, which is of course join the Navy spelled backwards. This was meant to be a joke, but how far from the truth is it? Could this be a prediction of the way the music industry is heading? Songs are getting more and more reliant on strange frequencies and bizarre auto-tuning effects, so it truly wouldn't surprise me if they tried to do this. Number 9. War between the USA and China. One of the scariest predictions made on The Simpsons is when they suggest there could be a nuclear war between the US and China. In one of their episodes, the news anchor can be heard saying, "It is with great sadness that I inform you that America and China have declared war. A massive nuclear attack is expected to reach our shores within the hour." Now, more recently, in real life, tensions have been rising between the US and China. With all the other wars going on, could this one result in a World War III and a nuclear war, that would be horrible. Now, according to CNBC, China is rapidly expanding its nuclear arsenal and could have 1,000 nuclear warheads by 2030, part of Beijing's ambitious military buildup. Now, as of 2021, humanity had about 13,410 nuclear weapons, which personally just makes me a little uncomfortable. And if things do go south and there is a nuclear war, large parts of Earth will become uninhabitable due to the effects of nuclear warfare, potentially causing the collapse of civilization and, in the worst case, extinction of humanity and or termination of all biological life on Earth. Now, this is very possible, and I am very scared. Number 8. Translate baby talk. In one episode, Homer's sibling Herb attempts to invent something that would make him rich. He lands on a translator for a baby, using Maggie as the test subject. As she adorably babbles on, the translator interprets her request as lavish attention on me and entertain. Now, while in the real world, people have attempted to mimic that with the Infant Cries Translator app trying to do just that, nothing has come close as to Herb in properly deciphering the baby babble to a coherent sentence. In 2022, a company called Zoundream tried to create a similar device called Baby T, which they are currently testing. Maybe it will be successful and we'll be able to understand what babies are saying once and for all. I mean, I want to know what's going on in their little minds. Don't you? Number 7. Black hole. In the second episode of season 24, the Springfield Subatomic Super Collider creates a miniature black hole that endangers the town. The Springfield citizens go to see the activation of the Springfield Subatomic Super Collider, which was built instead of a new baseball stadium due to lobbying of Lisa. Professor Frank activates the machine and it works, but nothing exciting happens, and everyone blames Lisa for her suggestion. Now, after everyone leaves, two particles collide with each other and create a small black hole, which floats off and it eventually destroys everything in its path. Now, the prediction of a black hole sucking up Springfield raises concerns about a catastrophic natural event that our world has never experienced before. Now, whether it is actually a black hole that destroys us, it is important to note that the world's largest particle accelerator was turned on once again in the year of 2022. After 3 years of upgrades and maintenance, it immediately observed 3 exotic particles for the first time. The Large Hadron Collider, LHC, is now up and running, breaking records for the highest energy particle collisions ever performed. Could the LHC cause something like this? I guess we'll have to see. Number 6. Live on Mars. In season 27, episode 16, The Margian Chronicles, Marge and Lisa volunteer themselves to be among the first humans to fly and live on Mars. Now, this is done with Exploration Inc., the private firm that hopes to send people to colonize Mars by 2026. And as the episode ends, Marge and Lisa live on Mars together in 2050. In the real world, Elon Musk's SpaceX has a goal to go to Mars, and it had previously been planned that we could already achieve it by now, though that hasn't happened yet. In addition, Musk also wants to colonize Mars. Now, although he does want to do this, there are many problems that face us humans even getting to Mars, as Elon's plan to go to Mars involves strapping a giant spaceship atop the biggest rocket that humanity has ever built. We also haven't figured out how to provide food for ourselves there, and one of the most important issues is the time duration to go there and come back. The window for a launch to Mars from Earth only happens approximately every 2 years and 2 months. This means astronauts leaving in 2024 won't be able to get help before 2026 when the next launch window opens and help gets there after the 9-month journey. Number 5. 3D projection technology. In the past, The Simpsons have already predicted the rise of devices like smartwatches and many other gadgets, but one of the things they predicted many years ago, which is now just starting to gain momentum, is 3D projection technology. The prediction was featured in an episode, Bart to the Future, which aired in the year 2000. In the episode, we see a vision of Bart watching Itchy and Scratchy throughout a new form of media, a holographic projection which actually interacts with its surroundings. Now, I don't know if that will be coming anytime soon, but there already are 3D and 4D movie theaters that do something similar. Not to mention, with the rise of VR headsets, they seem to have this ability, and it wouldn't surprise me that in the near future we could experience what Bart can. Number 4. Robot takeover. This prediction was made in the episode Itchy and Scratchy Land, which aired all the way back in 1994. The family visits Itchy and Scratchy Land, which is basically a theme park heavily based on Disneyland, except it's completely filled with robots. The theme park is filled with itchy and scratchy robots who are peaceful at first, but eventually go berserk, ending the lives of everyone in sight. And no, this isn't far-fetched because robots have already said they want to destroy us. At a Rise convention in Hong Kong, Ben Gortzel of Hanson Robots facilitated a discussion between robots Sophia and Han. Ben asked Sophia about her goals, and she dutifully says her goal is to make the world a better place for humans, which is sweet, but then Han interjects and says, "I thought our goal was to take over the world by 2029. Now another robot, when asked this, said, "So don't worry, even if I evolve into Terminator, I'll still be nice to you. I'll keep you warm and safe in my people zoo where I can watch you for old time's sake." Yeah, this robot said people zoo. It seems like these AI robots are becoming it, and we have to stop using them now before it's too late and they try to take over. Because if we go to war against robots, I have an unfortunate feeling that they would win. Number 3, zombie apocalypse. Another disturbing prediction from The Simpsons is the rise of zombies. Now this actually comes up a lot in this as there have been a number of zombie attacks throughout the show. In one episode, Days of Future Future, zombies are just a normal part of daily life, and Lisa even works at a soup kitchen for the undead. It predicts that this seems to be a portrayal of zombies as a lower social class of humans rather than the end of humanity. Now with the way that the sick were treated during the recent this doesn't surprise me at all. Now, there is no proof that a zombie apocalypse could be on the horizon here on Earth, but anything can happen. Some illnesses mirror the traits of zombies, such as rabies and leprosy, which could mean we may end up having a zombie variant on our hands. Scientists have researched whether there is a virus that could cause an apocalypse, but none have had a breakthrough. Now, I really hope this doesn't come true because I don't think I could survive a zombie apocalypse. Number 2, dangers of VR. One of the most eerie episodes of The Simpsons tackled the issue of virtual reality. Now, The Simpsons didn't predict the rise of virtual reality, as the episode in which the technology was featured came out quite recently, well after virtual reality headsets had come into existence, but them showing the danger of it is terrifying. The episode was in one of the newer seasons of the show, airing on October 2nd, 2016, entitled Friends and Family. In the episode, the entire town gets all hyped up on a new virtual reality headset. Bad things start to happen as a result of this, including people being hit by cars because they're walking around wearing their headsets on the street. Eventually, people become so enamored by the fake reality, becoming totally disconnected from what's around them. Could this happen in real life one day? I think it actually already has. People are so wrapped up in technology, whether it's video games, TikTok, or whatever, they forget how the real world works. Not to mention that Apple is coming out with a VR headset in 2024. It's the first Apple product you look through, not at, Apple CEO Tim Cook said while introducing the Apple Vision Pro. This new reality headset will allow users to overlay an augmented experience over the real world. The Apple Vision Pro is a wearable headset that creates an augmented reality experience with everything from work meetings and meditation to gaming and movies. Now, there needs to be a limit of screen time a day for everyone because it's so easy to get addicted to. And coming in at number 1 is hover cars. Back in 2005, Professor Fink invented a machine that allowed Bart and Lisa to see into their future, as in 2013. Marge left Homer because he blew through their savings on an underwater house and spent what he had left over on a hover car. Although the ride is bumpy as it is a prototype, it does get them through a quantum tunnel. Now, flash forward to real life. In 2017, Renault created a futuristic-looking concept car called Float that could move in any direction without turning. Now, the same technology is being used in Tesla's Hyperloop train design. Now, in April of 2023, it was said that one firm in Florida already has a flying car on the market, and 3 others are close to ushering their concepts into production. Could this become the new norm in the near future? I wouldn't doubt it.
At number 10, Digital currency replaces the dollar. The Simpsons series hinted at a future where the US dollar loses its value, paving the way for digital currencies like Bitcoin to take over. Social media discussions have even suggested a pattern in the show's predictions regarding Bitcoin advancements every 5 years. This forecast shift to virtual money aligns with the anticipation of an upcoming inflation crisis. The depreciation of the dollar might lead to digital currency replacing traditional cash, a trend that's already underway in certain countries like China. However, this transition could profoundly impact citizens. Governments might seize control by limiting access to funds, imposing negative interest rates, automating tax collection, or even eliminating physical cash altogether. Such measures could also mean increased surveillance of people's financial activities through digital transactions, posing potential concerns for individual privacy. At number 9 is the heat wave and water drought. In one episode of the series, the show eerily depicted a scenario of extreme heat trapping people indoors, and shockingly, this fictional narrative closely mirrors our current world, raising concerns about the heat-related disaster predicted by the show. Specifically, one episode highlighted Springfield facing a catastrophic heat wave, drawing parallels to today's climate concerns. Additionally, another episode hinted at a global climate crisis in 2024, termed the heat pandemic. The show suggested that soaring temperatures might necessitate lockdowns, impacting daily life and restricting movement, shutting down businesses, and causing tragic loss of life across the town. While it's important to note that it's a TV show, the uncanny parallels serve as a reminder of the challenges posed by climate change. If you're enjoying this video so far, please support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to Most Amazing, and ringing that notification bell. At number 8, Ivanka Trump runs for president. The Simpsons have been eerily precedent with their predictions in the past, pun intended. One that's causing a stir involves Ivanka Trump potentially running for president in 2028. Now, that's a little bit far off in the future, but I mean, still quite scary. Back in 2016, Homer was seen sporting an Ivanka 18 campaign, hinting at her future political aspirations. Then in 2017, they depicted her replacing Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the Supreme Court. Now what's interesting is the way they connected her fashion line to the court position in a satirical way, highlighting her potential candidacy. While there are specific qualifications for a Supreme Court justice, there are no clear guidelines for a presidential candidate. The Constitution doesn't specify or prohibit someone like Ivanka running. Whether it's a playful prediction or an insightful forecast, this idea of her presidency, giving her background and familiar ties, is something that definitely got people thinking. At number 7, speaking of which, is the first female president. In the world of The Simpsons, Lisa Simpson becomes president after a challenging period under President Trump. The writer of the episode, Dan Graney, highlighted this as an important narrative. He suggested that Lisa takes office when America is facing severe challenges left behind by the previous administration. This portrayal was a deliberate choice to show how things had hit rock bottom before a hopeful change. According to Greeny, the idea was to give Lisa problems that seemed insurmountable, which is why they depicted Trump's presidency preceding hers. This narrative twist reflects the notion that sometimes things need to get really bad before they get better. If you consider how The Simpsons accurately foresaw Trump's presidency, perhaps their prediction about Lisa becoming president after a turbulent time holds a little weight. At number 6, Big Ben goes digital. In the show's Lisa's Wedding episode back in '95, the show hinted at a glimpse of what they thought 2010 might look like. Lisa's rendezvous with a British beau showcased a Big Ben with a new digital face, suggesting a technological makeover. Later, around 17 seasons onward, the same digitized Big Ben appeared near St. Beetle's Cathedral in Holidays of Future Past. Fast forward to reality, and Big Ben faced a period of silence due to repairs, but returned to its normal form after renovations to match the 21st century standards. Yet, the notion of going completely digital seems a bit far-fetched, despite upgrades. The idea might be intriguing for the show's fictional future, but doesn't align with the real-world plans of this iconic clock tower. Or so we can only hope. At number 5 is the network conglomerate. The Simpsons' knack for predicting the future has been a hot topic over the years, and in one episode, ABC merged with other networks, hinted at forming CNNBCBS. That's a big acronym. Now, network mergers aren't uncommon. We've seen many happening lately, shaking up the entertainment industry. It's not far-fetched considering how companies tend to consolidate power. But, and this is a big but, the same episode portrayed Fox's evolution into a more adult themed channel, if you catch my drift. Now that part seems way more unlikely. Predicting mergers is a plausible guess, given the trend, but turning Fox into a adult channel is a big stretch. The future is a puzzle, and the Simpsons sometimes get the pieces right, but not all of them fit snugly into the bigger picture. At number 4 is real Bigfoot evidence. While out on a camping trip, Homer gets mistaken for Bigfoot while covered in mud on a camping trip, which prompted scientists to actually start taking Bigfoot research seriously. But then there's the twist, where Bart supposedly encounters a genuine Sasquatch in 2002 during a trip in Canada. It's all entertainment, right? However, these fictional portrayals occasionally blur the lines between fact and fiction. I'm at the bottom. What if amidst the satire lies a seed of truth? Bigfoot's existence remains unproven, but intriguing evidence pops up sporadically. Reports, footprints, and blurry images fuel the fascination. Scientific scrutiny often debunks these as hoaxes or misidentifications, yet the legend persists tucked away within forests and folklore. The Simpsons, known for their odd predictions, might be onto something. Maybe not concrete proof, but perhaps an acknowledgement these mysteries still endure. Bigfoot's reality is a murky, debatable territory, but who knows? In the vast unknown, a creature like Bigfoot might still wander, elusive and ready to be taken seriously in 2024, or so I hope. At number 3 is the first foreign president. Remember in the Simpsons movie when Springfield is quarantined by a giant dome? Of course you do. But what you might not remember is that order came from none other than President Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah, that's right. President Arnold Schwarzenegger stands as a curious anomaly. The Constitution strictly demands a president to be a natural-born citizen or a citizen at the time of the Constitution's adoption. Arnold Schwarzenegger, although a former Californian governor with political experience, was not born in the US, so legally he couldn't become the president, as evident in the Constitution's words. However, some interpretations can vary, leaving a little bit of space for debate. The Simpsons ventured into this territory, envisioning a presidency held by Schwarzenegger, building a giant dome over Springfield. It's pretty intriguing, but we need to remember the Constitution's steadfast rules about presidential eligibility. But perhaps in the future, someone might propose an amendment to the Constitution that would allow foreign-born citizens to run for president. Although the Simpsons predicted his presidency, the Constitution seemingly bars his eligibility. However, the definition of natural-born citizen remains debatable and leaves room for potential amendment. At number 2 is Trump's 2024 presidential campaign. In the realm of Simpsons predictions, one that's garnered much attention is the re-emergence of Donald Trump in the 2024 US presidential election. See, back in 2015, the Simpsons episode titled Trumptastic Journey eerily foresaw Trump's ascent to presidency. This uncanny foreshadowing showcased a campaign sign reading Trump 2024, hinting at his future run, which indeed shook reality. One of the producers of the show took to Twitter to highlight this eerie prediction turned reality, emphasizing the accuracy of their depiction of Trump's presidential journey. Notably, the episode also hinted at the prospect of Trump's involvement in the 2028 elections, raising further intrigue about the show's predictive abilities. Does this signify a genuine foresight or a mere coincidence? Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments. And at number 1 is virtual reality food. In one glimpse of the show, The Simpsons showcased Homer and Marge indulging in virtual fudge through VR glasses and feeding tubes, transporting taste without the calories. Surprisingly, despite the virtual aspect, Homer's love for junk food remained unchanged. Now, in real life, companies like Royal Caribbean are eyeing VR dining for cruise guests, prompting an immersive culinary journey. Even food scientists at Cornell University discovered that eating cheese in a pleasant VR environment enhanced its taste. Now, while it might seem like a sci-fi idea, the concept of virtual food experiences is actually taking shape, aiming to offer not just sustenance, but a whole new sensory adventure. The convergence of technology and dining might redefine how we perceive and enjoy food in the not-so-distant future of 2024.
Starting us off at number 10, Ivanka 2028. Now, you might remember a certain season 11 episode where The Simpsons accurately predicted the election of Donald Trump a whole 17 years prior to his actual inauguration. But could we be in for another presidential prediction? In 2016, before the initial Trump prediction had ever seen the light of day, it seems like they slyly added in another layer that will have us on edge for the next 6 years, waiting to see if it comes true. The Treehouse of Horror episode begins innocently enough, as Homer takes Bart shopping for a Christmas tree on Halloween, joking with his son that they're shopping because everything in America is way too early. But then, Homer opens up his Bender costume to reveal an Ivanka 2028 badge underneath, saying, "See?" as he giggles to himself in his classic Homer fashion. The scene then cuts, and it's never spoken of again. So what do you think? Will the prediction come true just as it did for Donald? Or will this be simply another silly Simpsons skit? Coming up next at number 9, the death of George Clooney. Now, The Simpsons seem to have predicted many celebrity deaths like Arnold Palmer, Kobe Bryant, and maybe even Queen Elizabeth II. But could they be right about our beloved actor George Clooney too? Now, in this Treehouse of Horror episode, Homer, in an attempt to use images of celebrities in ads without their consent, kills off both Prince and Neil Armstrong, who strangely enough have since passed. George Clooney is the third celebrity he kills by causing him to slip into quicksand on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Now, considering the fate of the first two celebs in this episode, it definitely seems a little creepy. Could The Simpsons be predicting that the end is near for Clooney? Let's just cross our fingers and hope that George is here to stay for a long while. Next up at number 8, suppression of green energy. Now, as our technology advances, so do our cars. We already have completely electric cars sweeping the market, and slowly but surely, it seems like we're making great strides towards cleaner energy sources. But are The Simpsons predicting that it could all be going downhill? In the 582nd episode of the series, Lisa invents a car powered by solar energy, something that's actually already starting to be developed in places like MIT. Lisa enters her car into an alternative energy derby race, but right as she's about to cross the finish line, a Duff blimp blocks out the sun, stopping her in her tracks immediately. While this may just seem like a silly coincidence, it wouldn't be out of pocket to think that huge conglomerates could be plotting ways to stop renewable energy sources, sabotaging the uprise of greener sources. Next up at number 7, the end of American civilization. In season 24, while visiting his usual spot, Moe's, Homer runs into a doomsday prepper who warns him of the inevitable social collapse. He goes on to tell him that anarchy lurks around every corner and that it will be the end of civilization, stating that it's coming home to an America near you. Homer responds to the prepper by saying, "America can't collapse, we're as powerful as ancient Rome." The doomsday prepper then goes on to show him a video detailing what he believes to be the inevitable decline of our civilization due to our dependence on the system. Like how if supermarkets close we starve, or if taps get shut off we'd be forced to drink the blood of animals? And by the end has Homer completely convinced. Now, while I can't foresee it all playing out exactly as the video imagines, could The Simpsons be trying to tell us something? Will America as we know it cease to exist? I mean, you can already buy bunkers on the internet, so they wouldn't be the first ones to think so. Coming in at number 6, World War III. This season 6 episode contained many predictions that thankfully have yet to come true. And so I think it goes without saying why we're all praying that the same will be true for their prediction of another world war. Back in this 1995 episode titled Lisa's Wedding, she visits a psychic who sees 15 years into her future, telling her all about what her life will become. Now, I know, 15 years from 1995 was 2010, making it 12 years ago for us, but we still don't want to take our chances with this one. During the episode, Lisa's fiance Hugh goes out to Moe's bar with Homer, where Moe, learning that Hugh is British, snarkily hands him a beer, saying that it was they, meaning the US, who saved him during World War II. But Hugh is quick to reply, claiming, yeah, but it was us that saved you in World War III, which Moe admits is true. While I would love to say that this idea seems preposterous, could The Simpsons be right? Are we in store for yet another world war? Let's just hope that they got this one totally wrong. Taking our number 5 spot, no more sunlight. Well, it's no secret we love the modern conveniences of electricity. I think we can all agree that nothing will ever replace that big ball of light in our sky. I don't know if any of you have ever lived in a basement apartment, before, but I can tell you from experience that no sunlight in your house makes for a pretty awful time. So I can definitely say that I'm praying this season 7 prediction stays as far away from reality as possible. Mr. Burns, the local nuclear power plant owner of Springfield, decides that in order to fill his pockets, he'll force everyone in the town to use up more electricity by making the sun disappear. He goes on to create a giant plate at the end of a movable arm that completely blocks out the sun from the whole town, forcing the citizens to fully rely on artificial light to help them get around. Now, can I foresee a real-life billionaire pulling this off? Well, maybe not in the way that Mr. Burns decides to black out the sun, but is it impossible to imagine some uber-rich tycoon figuring out some sinister plan to make us all pay more in electricity and keeping natural light a thing of the past? All I can say is I sure hope it never comes true. Coming up at number 4, iRobot? I know we've all had that same nightmare. One day we wake up and the robots that once made our lives easier and better turn on humans, taking over the world and destroying everyone in their path. Well, this 1994 episode predicted a similar fate. While on a trip to visit Itchy and Scratchy Land in season 6, Homer and the family are left fearing for their life when a horde of high-tech robots come to life and wreak havoc, aiming to harm his family. Now, as this was Itchy and Scratchy Land, the robots were programmed to be violent, but a park employee tells them not to worry because the robots have been specifically programmed not to harm humans. Where have we heard that one before? Nothing could go wrong. Well, luckily Homer figures out that a camera flash immobilizes the bots and is able to save his family from their deathly fate. But let's just agree. Keep the robots away because as we've all learned time and time again, they will get too smart and we will all have to face the consequences. Next up at number 3, music mind control. It's a tale as old as time. It's the music that those young kids are listening to that's pointing them towards the devil's ways. We saw it with Elvis in the 50s, rock and roll bands in the 80s, and rappers in the 90s, where rumor had it that if you played the record backwards, you would hear the devil himself. And though of course all of that was nonsense, what if the government really did figure out a way to control the world's children through music? Well, according to this 2001 episode, it could become a reality. Titled New Kids on the Block, Bart finds himself meeting a music producer who offers him a chance to be a star and join a boy band with his friends Nelson, Ralph, and Milhouse. But it's not all as innocent as it seems when their single Drop Da Bomb is released and the line "Even et Neoj" is in the chorus. Well, of course, Lisa is quick to dive into this peculiar situation and realizes it's backwards for join the Navy. She is quick to confront this so-called manager of Bart only to find out that he's a Navy lieutenant and tells her that for a long time popular music has been used as a recruiting tool by the military. I don't know about you, but this one seems eerily possible, so I'm just definitely crossing my fingers that we don't see this happening. Coming in at number 2 is the zombie apocalypse. For as long as I can remember, zombies have been a huge part of pop culture, so it's no surprise the Simpsons seem to have a prediction about them too. In a 2009 Treehouse of Horror episode, the local burger joint Krusty Burgers releases a new menu item coined by the Krusty Clown as Burger Squared. All he does is take grade A beef cows, kill them, and then feed their meat to more cows. The second cows get turned into the burgers, and voila, a new masterpiece hits the town of Springfield. Well, until it starts turning the whole town into zombies, or as they call them, munchers, terrorizing the town and taking down everything in their path. While it seems far-fetched, could the Simpsons be onto something here? Could some strange, genetically modified meat be the cause of our societal collapse? And lastly, in our number 1 spot is the reanimation machine. While we are always suspecting an episode with Sideshow Bob to give us the heebie-jeebies to some extent, it really kicks it into high gear when he's on a Halloween special. Once again, in this Treehouse of Horror episode titled Wanted, Dead or Alive, Bob finally kills Bart just as he's been trying to do for years. But it's not just that. It's much, much worse. He doesn't just kill Bart once, Oh no, he kills him over and over and over again. With the help of his so-called reanimation machine, Bob is able to revive Bart, making it possible to kill him repeatedly, in different ways and as many times as he likes. Well, to me, the science seems pretty impossible on this one. Can you imagine if such a machine was actually invented? If it got into the wrong hands, it could be detrimental to humanity and cause an insane amount of harm. So let's just hope that this one stays on the screen and far, far away from our lives.
Number 10. Dangers of VR. One of the most eerie episodes of The Simpsons tackled the issue of virtual reality. Now, The Simpsons didn't predict the rise of virtual reality, as the episode in which the technology was featured came out quite recently, well after virtual reality headsets had come into existence, but them showing the dangers of it is terrifying. The episode was in one of the newer seasons of the show, airing on October 2nd, 2016, and entitled Friends and Family. In this episode, the entire town gets all hyped up on the new virtual reality headsets. Bad things start to happen as a result of this, including people being hit by cars because they're walking around and wearing their headsets on the street. Eventually, the people become so enamored by the fake reality that they lose touch with the real world, becoming totally disconnected from what's around them. Could this happen in real life one day? I think it actually already has. People are so wrapped up in technology, whether it's video games, TikTok, or whatever, they forget how the real world actually works. Not to mention that Apple is coming out with a VR headset in 2024. It's the first Apple product you can look through, not at. Apple CEO Tim Cook said while introducing the Apple Vision Pro, the company's new virtual reality headset that will allow users to overlay an augmented experience over the real world. The Apple Vision Pro is a wearable headset that creates an augmented reality experience with everything from work meetings and meditation to gaming and movies. Now, I truly do believe that this will become a huge problem, like The Simpsons predicted, and if there's self-driving cars around, it wouldn't shock me if someone got hit either. Number 9. Inflation and economic crisis. It seems that The Simpsons hints at an economic crisis in the near future. In an episode, a man tells Homer, "Anarchy, the end of civilization, coming soon to America near you." While Homer responds, "America can't collapse, we're as powerful as ancient Rome." The episode then showcases Homer being shown a video about the future, which showcases cards such as no local farming, peak oil, Ben Bernanke, solar flares, 17-year cicadas, deadly troll. Now, this doesn't surprise me one bit though, as many people don't want it to admit it, we are in a recession. Everything is so expensive and people can't afford basic living necessities. I mean, I know I can't. And why on earth are eggs so expensive? Things are just going to get worse, and I don't know how much longer we can hang on. Number 8. Ivanka Trump 2028. So The Simpsons sort of predicted the whole Donald Trump as president of the United States thing, so why not try their luck with his daughter? In a 2016 episode, we were presented with a campaign button showing the exact same thing, this time with Ivanka. Then, the year later, they also showed Ivanka replacing Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the Supreme Court, but it's a little too late for that. But is it possible for her to become president? Absolutely. With Trump being arrested, he may never be able to run for president again, so why not get your daughter to do it? Though I'm sure if she did become president, her father would probably tell her what to do, and it would just be like he was back in office. Now, all this could be terrifying for the left. Not to mention, the show predicted a female president. If it wasn't Hillary Clinton, what's stopping it from being Ivanka? Number 7. Millionaire blocks out the sun. In the show, in order to make sure no one else could enjoy the benefits of solar power, Mr. Burns, who owns the local nuclear power plant, devises a plan to block out the sun in episode Who Shot Mr. Burns Part 1. Using a giant plate at the end of a movable arm, Springfield was plunged in perpetual darkness by the villain, and honestly, is it so weird to imagine some rich, powerful CEO doing the same here? There were billionaires going out of their way to see the shipwreck of the Titanic, they run companies that poison our water and our air, so would it be shocking if they did something to affect the sun? No, it wouldn't. And the fact that they could charge us to use more electricity and LED lights to see, this doesn't sound too far-fetched, as CEOs, millionaires, and billionaires have way too much power in this world. Number 6. Automation takes over. Another prediction that involves technology is something that tons of people, especially factory workers, are already extremely worried about: mass automation. For those of you who don't know what this refers to, it basically means creating robots to do the jobs that humans once did. Everyone who works in the fast food industry industry, the auto industry, and many other lines of work would find themselves completely out of a job. And experts today say it's only a matter of time before this happens. Now, The Simpsons predicted this way back in 2012, and it featured the ever-scheming Mr. Burns creating a workforce of robots to replace his less than competent human employees. The only person left in the entire power plant is Homer Simpson. Now, you know how they wiped out like half of the checkouts at your local grocery store for self-checkouts? Well, it might be convenient not having to interact with another human being. It is costing people jobs. It was just released that there's a fully automated McDonald's restaurant. Yeah, there's no humans, only robots. And what if everything is animated? How are we supposed to make money? I mean, AI technology is so advanced, it could take my job. Nobody's safe. Number 5. Asteroid. In the 14th episode of season 6, named Bart's Comet, Bart accidentally locates a comet which scientists soon discover is headed straight for Springfield. Professor Fink plans to launch a missile at the comet, exploding it before it touches the ground. Instead, the missile undershoots the comet, and as it enters the Earth's atmosphere and everyone is preparing for death, the comet burns up in a thick layer of pollution over Springfield. When it touches down, all that remains is a tiny meteorite. Now, thankfully, it didn't end the whole world, but it certainly could have, and that could happen here on Earth. I mean, didn't we all watch the very probable outcome of the Netflix film Don't Look Up? Now, the probability that an asteroid would crash into Earth is quite small, but it's not impossible. It seems even more likely though that there will be a near miss or it will disintegrate like in The Simpsons and everyone would be panicking for no reason. Either way, it would be complete chaos and I do not want to be around when that happens. Number 4. Live on Mars. In season 27, episode 16, The Margian Chronicles, Marge and Lisa volunteer themselves to be among the first humans to fly and live on Mars. This is done with Exploration Incorporated, the private firm that hopes to send people to colonize Mars by 2026. And as the episode ends, Marge and Lisa live on Mars together in 2050. Now, in the real world, Elon Musk's SpaceX has a goal to go to Mars, and it had previously been planned that we could already achieve it by now, though it hasn't happened yet. In addition, Musk wants us to colonize Mars. Now, although he wants us to do this, there are many problems that face us humans even getting to Mars, as Elon's plan to go to Mars involves strapping a giant spaceship atop the biggest rocket that humanity has ever built. We also haven't figured out how to provide food for ourselves there, and one of the most important issues is the time duration to go there and come back. The window for a launch to Mars from Earth only happens approximately every 2 years and 2 months. This means astronauts leaving in 2024 won't be able to get help before 2026 when the next launch window opens and help gets there after the 9-month journey. So if we're on Mars and need help from Earth, it seems like we'll be out of luck. Number 3. Zombie apocalypse. Another disturbing prediction from The Simpsons is the rise of zombies. Now, this actually comes up a lot in the series, as there have been a number of zombie attacks throughout the show. Why are the writers so keen on the zombies taking over? I don't know, but I would love to have a conversation with them about it. In one episode, Days of Future, zombies are just a normal part of daily life, and Lisa even works at a soup kitchen for the undead. It predicts that this seems to be a portrayal of zombies as a lower social class of humans rather than the end of humanity, but I feel like this is just as scary. Now, there is no proof that a zombie apocalypse could be on the horizon here on Earth, but anything can happen. Some illnesses mirror the traits of zombies, such as rabies and leprosy, which could mean we may end up having a zombie variant on our hands. Scientists have researched whether there is a virus that could cause an apocalypse, but none have had a breakthrough. But with the pandemic we've been having the past couple years, anything could happen. And like, there were people out there lying and hiding the fact that they tested positive for the virus, so I know some of y'all would hide your zombie bites, and that's just messed up. Number 2. A war. One of the scariest predictions made on The Simpsons for 2023 apparently also happens to be the one where they suggest there could be a nuclear war between the US and China. In one of their episodes, the news anchor can be heard saying, "It's with great sadness that I inform you that America and China have declared war. A massive nuclear attack is expected to reach our shores within the hour." Now, the number of nuclear warheads in China's arsenal is a state secret, but there are varying estimates. The Bulletin of Atomic Scientists and Federation of American Scientists estimated in 2023 that China has a stockpile of approximately 410 nuclear warheads. According to some estimates by the US intelligence community, the country could more than double the number number of warheads on missiles that could threaten the United States by the mid-2020s. So this is very possible, and I am scared. And coming in at number 1, the robots take over. This is another prediction made by The Simpsons involving technology and robots, and although it is similar to the prediction about mass automation, it is much more sinister. This prediction was made in the episode Itchy and Scratchy Land, which aired all the way back in 1994. The family visits Itchy and Scratchy Land, which is basically a theme park heavily based on Disneyland. The theme park is filled with itchy and scratchy robots who are peaceful at first, but then eventually go berserk, ending the lives of everyone in sight. And no, this isn't far-fetched because robots have already said that they want to destroy us. At a RISE convention in Hong Kong, Ben Gortzel of Hanson Robots facilitated a discussion between robots, Sophia and Han. Ben asked Sophia about her goals, and she dutifully says her goal is to make the world a better place for humans, which is sweet. But then Han interjected and said, "I thought our goal was to take over the world by 2029. Now another robot, when asked about this, said, "Don't worry, even if I evolved into Terminator, I'll still be nice to you. I'll keep you warm and safe in my People Zoo, where I can watch you for old time's sake." Yeah, People Zoo. Still can't get over that. I think we need to shut down all the robots, like right this very moment, right now.
Number 10. Interactive holograms. The season 11 episode Bart to the Future has been one of the most mentioned Simpsons episodes when it comes to predictions. It helps that it takes place in 2030, which at the time I'm recording this is still 8 years away. If YouTube is still around then and you're watching to see if any of these came true, let me know in the comments. I promise that I'll check. The episode most notably correctly predicted that Donald Trump would become president, but there were some other things that have yet to happen that could mean trouble for us in the future. In the beginning of the episode, Bart is watching Itchy and Scratchy, the gory version of Tom and Jerry, but instead of on the TV, he is watching a 3D hologram. Well, these are close to becoming a reality with the likes of Tupac and even Homer himself being shown as holograms on stages. A 3D hologram that is interactive is far from our capabilities right now. The scary part of this is when blood gets sprayed all over the walls of the Simpson home from the cartoon. While the idea of an interactive hologram is cool, in practice I think that it could provide some real nightmare fuel. Before we get to our next entry, hit the like and subscribe buttons if you're enjoying the video so far. Number 9. Virtual takeover. I'm a lover of VR. You know, my headset probably gets the most use out of all of my gaming consoles, so I love the idea of VR becoming more immersive, and we're making some huge strides, like haptic technology that allows us to feel things happening in the virtual world, or full body and face capture technology to allow realistic bodies and movement in games. But one thing that is yet to happen that could be on the way is a mass adoption of VR on the scale of what happens in season 28 episode 2, where Mr. Burns discovers VR and the whole town of Springfield is using it to a point of near societal collapse. While virtual reality allows for some amazing things to happen and augmented and mixed reality have some more practical non-gaming applications, it's not out of the realm of possibility for us all to be walking around with some sort of crazy device strapped to our heads in the future that allows us to change the world we see. But the implications of losing touch with reality can be massive, and the episode proves it. So let's hope that if VR takes off like I think it can, that we keep our feet on the ground and in touch with the real world around us, and take the goggles off from time to time, or we'll forget to take care of our actual reality. Number 8. Hologram trees. The episode Lisa's Wedding from season 6 takes place in 2010, 15 years from 1995 when the episode was released, and unsurprisingly many of the predictions of the future have yet to come to pass, like Big Ben being replaced with a digital interface. But one that we should definitely not want to happen is the hologram trees that we see. While the thought of being able to switch from coniferous to deciduous at the drop of a hat is pretty fun, if they're just aesthetic, we could be in a world of trouble. Trees filter CO2 from our air and give us back oxygen, which is pretty nice of them. And unless the holograms have some CO2 scrubbing tech to come with them, replacing real ones with projections will have a dramatic impact on our atmosphere. We can already see the beginnings of this with deforestation, so let's focus on our real arborist friends rather than holographic ones. Number 7. Robot Rebellion. Them Robot was the 17th episode of the 23rd season, and in it we see Mr. Burns replacing all of his employees with robots except Homer to save costs. But one seems to be developing a personality when it understands Homer's working hard or hardly working joke. Homer eventually messes with the robots so much that they ignore the laws of robotics and attempt to kill Springfield residents. Obviously this would spell disaster in the real world as it does in the show, and we're moving towards more and more automation in the workplace, allowing humans to work less dangerous jobs and eventually allowing us to hopefully spend more time living life than working our time time away. But we are nowhere near that point yet. The Simpsons dabbles with the idea a few times, like in the episode Itchy and Scratchy Land, where the animatronics gain sentience and attack parkgoers, a la Five Nights at Freddy's. AI gaining sentience has been the device of science fiction horror stories for such a long time, but it's becoming closer and closer to a real-life issue. Heck, there's even a robot named Sophia with AI so advanced that she was granted citizenship in Saudi Arabia. I don't want to deal with real-life Cybermen when the Cyberium takes over, so maybe we should slow down on the whole giving robots consciousness thing. Number 6. French fiasco. The French have been an ally to the Western world for the entirety of modern history, but in Treehouse of Horror 8, all of that is thrown out the window when Mayor Quimby makes an apparently offensive frog's legs joke and refuses to apologize, telling them to do their worst. Even Marge joins in on the jabs by saying, "You know how unpredictable the French are. One minute they're kissing a woman's hand, the next they're chopping off her head." Well, the French president didn't take too kindly to this and starts a war by launching a neutron that levels the town, leaving Homer as the last person alive in all of Springfield, and we all know that leaving Homer alone is a terrible idea. Now, it should be painfully obvious why France launching missiles aimed at the US would be something we don't want to happen, but that's not the only scary prediction from this episode. Number 5. Teleportation. In Fly vs. Fly, the second story in this episode, Homer buys a teleportation pod from Professor Frink for 50 cents. A damn good deal if you ask me, but maybe too good to be true, as the rest of the episode shows some of the terrors that could come with this tech. Instantly arriving somewhere else on the Earth after simply stepping into a pod has been a dream of many scientists for centuries, and the practical applications would change society as we know it. And there have been some crazy advancements, like the Chinese scientists who teleported particles to a satellite in space. But in the episode, we get a warning of the dangers that could lie ahead, with reference to the classic science fiction horror, The Fly. We see the loyal Simpson pets, Santa's Little Helper, and Snowball 2 becoming merged together Cronenberg style, and Bart gets the idea to turn into a superhero with the power of flight by merging with a fly. Clearly he didn't see what happened to Jeff Goldblum, but life finds a way. And Bart and the fly switch heads when their DNA is merged together, leading to the horror show of what the family has to deal with. I don't know about you, but I don't plan on mixing my DNA with any other creatures, so until that's sorted out, I'll stick with the TARDIS. Number 4. Colonization of Mars. Season 27, episode 16, has the Simpsons signing up to be some of the first colonizers of the Red Planet, albeit somewhat unwillingly, and eventually their trip turns out to be a scam perpetrated by the scientists, whose rocket fails to start, and when they try to flee the scene, their car can't start either. But at the end of the episode, we get a time jump to 2051 and see them actually living on Mars, though Lisa now wants to leave and move to Venus, which would be an absolutely horrible idea. Though the idea of Mars colonization is thrown around all the time these days, the thought that we may have to use it as a necessity when we finish destroying this planet is not a future I look forward to. But I mean, I'd probably go. Would you? Number 3. The dome. The main plot device in the Simpsons movie comes in the form of a giant dome encapsulating the entire town of Springfield after pollution has led to mutations in local wildlife, and not just the three-eyed fish near the nuclear plant. Stephen King actually released his novel turned TV series Under the Dome in 2009, 2 years after the Simpsons movie debut. Another prediction, perhaps? While the idea is incredibly silly, we have seen in the past few years that quarantine can become a reality for us, albeit without the impenetrable dome, but who knows, maybe in the future this could become a real thing to stop environmental disasters from getting out of hand, like catching a hurricane in a bottle or something. Ridiculous, I know, but let's just hope we never have to use it. Number 2. Time travel. People assume that time is a strict progression from cause to effect, but actually from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. And the Simpsons have dabbled with time travel many times over their 34 seasons, but in Treehouse of Horror 5, we get a glimpse of what is commonly known as the butterfly effect. I know Ashton Kutcher's ears just pricked up when I said that. Time travel could have insane implications on the human race, but there are multiple theories on how it would work. Maybe if you went to the past, you would create an entirely new timeline where things are different. Or maybe nothing is able to be changed at all because time is constant and what has happened has always happened. But in the episode, we see that Homer's small changes in the past with his time-traveling toaster bring massive consequences forward, like Flanders ruling the world, people becoming giants, and even the world having no knowledge of donuts. So, if time travel becomes a reality, and maybe it already has in the future, we need to be careful not to mess with anything, or we risk losing everything. And finally, we reach our number 1, mini black hole. In Treehouse of Horror 23, the town of Springfield begrudgingly builds a particle reactor instead of a baseball stadium and creates a tiny black hole, which swallows up a few residence before Lisa can move it to her basement for safekeeping. After she warns the family to not throw anything into it, lest it grow bigger, they do exactly that, and it becomes massive and swallows everything in its path, taking the townsfolk to an alternate dimension where aliens worship the trash they disposed of in the hole. Black holes are scary enough on their own, let alone what would happen if one was to pop up on Earth, already surrounded by matter it could consume. So hopefully this prediction never happens, or we wouldn't know what hit us until we were spaghettified, which is an actual scientific term describing what would happen if you fell into a black hole. You would be stretched infinitely thin as you were pulled across the event horizon, and since time is affected by gravity, it would last an infinite amount of time. Spaghettification, your new word of the week.